Hi, my name is Travis Albritton. I'm the head of marketing at Amaze Media Labs. And in this video, I want to walk you through our branded audience growth network, which helps companies and brands grow their podcasts through contextually targeted advertising and promotion. So I'm going to walk you through how the product works and why so many brands, companies, and specifically B2B companies use the branded audience growth network to grow and develop an audience for their branded podcast. And you'll see that a lot of name brands like Dell, Visa, Disney use our technology to reach more listeners and to grow audience. And the reason is because of our unique approach to building audience for audio properties. And the way that it works is we develop unique ad creative for specific episodes of your branded podcast. So our platform identifies relevant web content on digital publishers where the content matches what the podcast episode is about. And so we're able to specifically target high quality digital publishers across the web and reach your ideal listener with our technology. And so you're able to grow your company's podcast audience by increasing the number of people that are listening to each episode that you produce. We deliver high value media impressions on brand safe publishers to increase awareness for those episodes. With our precision targeting, we can reach your ideal listener, and we'll get into this towards the end. We also deliver campaign reports and analytics with actionable insights so you can understand who's consuming each episode of your podcast and what you can do moving forward to continue to make great branded podcasts for your company. And it's really easy to set up and execute a promotion using the branded audience growth network. The first thing you do is let us know what your ideal listener demographics are. This informs our targeting for your campaign. You let us know which episode of your podcast you'd like us to promote. And then from there, we do all the work of running the campaign for you on your behalf and grow your audience for you. Now, the way that we run campaigns, more specifically, is we place the ads, those unique ad creative that we make next to content that is relevant to your podcast episode. So in the previous example, there was a women's health podcast episode that we were advertising on an article on WebMD. In this example, Open Door is a podcast, a branded show from Cox Communities, and they wanted to target multi-unit developers. So general contractors and firms that build apartment buildings, duplexes, planned urban developments, that kind of stuff. And so for this episode of their podcast, our system identified an article on Bloomberg talking about apartment builders. And so when we're advertising and promoting their podcast episode on our network, our platform then creates an advertising spot inside of this Bloomberg article. So anyone that is looking at this article that fits within the demographic targeting that they've given to us will see this advertisement for this podcast episode. Now, we only work with the very best brands, the very best digital publishers, because brand safety really is our biggest priority. You know, when you have clients like Disney and Paramount, they really care about what kind of content you're promoting their podcast episodes on. And so we've made sure that there's no adult content, there's no explicit content. It's all the types of publishers that you either already are advertising on or are aligned with your brand. And we also give the ability, if you have a blacklist or a list of domains that you don't advertise on, we can also take that in as part of the targeting parameters to make sure that we're only advertising your podcast in places where you're really excited about it. Here are some examples of some of our top publisher partners. So these are digital publishers that we work with and advertise podcast episodes on consistently. You'll see a lot of news organizations. You'll see a lot of content generation organizations. Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, and Financial Times tend to be the digital publishers that take a lot of our business-related podcasts and B2B podcast episodes. But these are just some examples of the types of publishers that we're advertising podcast episodes on through the Branded Audience Growth Network. All of our data and all of our traffic is certified by Cloudflare. So this means that before we ever service an ad, before we ever promote an episode to somebody online, we run that traffic through Cloudflare to ensure that it's a legitimate person on the website, and we're blocking bot activity, we're blocking auto download activity, anything that we could identify as fraudulent, we block that as well, so that only people that are really there to consume content see your advertisement and can engage with your podcast episode. All of our listens are also opt-in and IAB compliant. So all the downloads will show up in your podcast hosting platform as legitimate downloads from real people. And all of our media placements and data collection follow CCPA and GDPR guidelines. We are an extension of your team. We're an extension of your marketing team for your branded podcast and can get your episodes in front of the right people. Once your campaign has ended, we will generate a post-campaign report for you. This will give you a detailed summary of who we targeted with your ads and how your episodes perform. You'll learn things like the top locations, demographics, matched affinities, and interest groups to show who is engaging with your content. And you can compare the analytics from our campaign report to the stats found in your podcast hosting platform to get the full picture of how your podcast episode is growing. Now, you may be wondering, what kind of targeting capabilities do you have with the Branded Audience Growth Network? And just in general, our standard filters include things like age range, gender, location, ethnicity, household income, marital status, homeowner status, education level. Those are all things that we bake into every single campaign to make sure that we're reaching the right person. But the reason that so many of our clients keep coming back and continue to use the Branded Audience Growth Network for each episode they produce is because of the additional features that we can provide. Some of our more popular ones are industry. And so if you are targeting listeners in a B2B sense and there's a specific industry that they're all in, you can target only people that are within that industry. You can target job titles. So not just healthcare providers, but dermatologists in New Jersey. Those are some examples of the types of targeting that we can do to make sure that we are aligning your marketing campaigns or the promotion campaigns for your podcast episodes with your ideal listener. And then all of our campaigns are priced at a fixed budget to make it really easy for you to incorporate it into the marketing plan for your podcast. And then just depending on how large the addressable market is for your ideal listener and how many targeting filters that we need to add in there to make sure we hit the bullseye for reaching the exact right person for you can impact the performance. And so if you have generic targeting turned on, just the standard filters, then you could typically see results between 65 cents and $1 per download, per targeted download of your podcast. And if you add additional filters like job titles, it really depends on how many of those people exist in the world or in the country that you're targeting or the geography that you're targeting and how easy it is to reach those people. But we make sure that every campaign budget is fixed so that way you can easily plan for it and easily incorporate it into your marketing spend. Now, if you have additional questions, you can very easily reach out to us and our team. We're happy to walk through a live presentation with you, answer any questions that you have, learn more about your branded podcast and what has worked and not worked for you from a marketing perspective, and just learn what your best case scenario is and what your ideal outcome is for your branded podcast so we can best inform and consult you on the path forward that makes the most sense for you. But that's the Branded Audience Growth Network from Amaze Media Labs.